Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the inaugural ceremony of Center for Digital Innovation and Transformation. I, Anasuya G. Nair, will be hosting the session today. I would like to extend a hearty welcome to the chief guest, Padma Bhushan Chris Gopalakrishnan, co-founder of Infosys, our director, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, Dean Executive Education, Professor G. Sridhar, and Head of CDiT, Professor Radhakrishan Pillai, to this auspicious ceremony. I would also like to welcome the faculty members, staff members, and students of IIMK and other invitees. We would like to begin the ceremony with a virtual lighting of the lamp, followed by the invocation song by Ms. Sangeeta Prakash.
अखिल हृजयत्री त्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री आत्मदेव परानपि पश्यत युद्धं त्यजत स्पर्धां त्यजत त्यजत परेषाक्रममाक्रमम् मैत्रीं भजत अखिल हृजयत्री जननी पृथ्वी कामदुःखास्ते जनको देव सकल दयालु दम्यतदत्त दयित्वं जनत श्रेयो भूयात् सकल जनानां श्रेयो भूयात् सकल जनानां श्रेयो भूयात् सकल जनानां श्रेयो भूयात् सकल जनानां.
Thank you, Ms. Sangeeta. May I request Professor G. Sridhar, Dean Executive Education, to deliver the welcome address.
Thank you. Padma Bhushan Gopalakrishnan ji, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, Professor Radhakrishan Pillai, Ramchandran ji, and others who are there. For some reasons, I have been always enamored by the technology, maybe since my adolescence. I had always the privilege of saying to my friends that this is the first gadget I purchased, be it a camera, be it a digital devices like mobile phone and all. But there is one movie which completely altered my way of looking at what a digital device or probably the digital technologies can. Not so very popular, but this movie called Her, where Jack Phoenix falls in love with an artificial intelligent robot. Over a period of time, the struggles that which he undergoes and the pains that which he also gets relieved out of AI. A beautiful movie which projects both the positives and also the negatives of digital technologies that which we have, has deepened my interest further. And as I look at, digital became so all pervasive that hardly we have realized that our lives are mostly in WhatsApp half of the time, without even knowing that we have gone into such kind of depth. At one end, we have digital technologies to have all pervasive in what I said just earlier, not in a literal sense, but also in, if you just look at the top 10 companies which are there across the globe with high market capitalization, 8 of them would fall from digital base. Such is what is the power. And it was not there about 2 decades back, such companies having among the top 10. So digital, to put it in perspective, is the way that which probably the life will be in future. IMK has been a champion in one way or the other, putting digital into use. For example, we have been pioneers in EPGP education, probably for the first time in entire South Asia. We were the ones who started this initiative of reaching executives who could not probably fly down here or stay with us for a long time. So in a way, IMK has also been one of the pioneers in the library space, with huge amount of resources that which are at digital, rather not just on a physical sense. And it is probably a very, very welcome that which Professor Radhakrishna Pillai has taken this initiative of putting up a center for digital technologies. Under the leadership of Professor Debashish Chatterjee, I'm sure this is something which is very, very a welcome change. And what a better way than having Padma Bhushan Chris Gopalakrishnan to bless this occasion, start this in a very positive way. I'm sure we would see Gopalakrishnan ji's mentoring and being part of this initiative, not only just in the center, but all through the IMK Code. Welcome, sir, and thank you for your time. Also, thank you for the opportunity that which is given to me for speaking few words. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I kindly request Professor Radhakrishnan Pillai, Head CDiT, to provide a brief note on the activities of the center.
Good morning, everyone. Distinguished Chief Guest of the occasion, Padma Bhushan Gopalakrishnan ji, Director IMK Code, Professor Debashish ji, Dean Executive Education, Professor Sridhar ji, our ERP Advisor Sri Ramchandran ji, my dear colleagues, students, alumni, and other invitees for this occasion. It is indeed a matter of proud and privilege to be part of this inaugural function of Center for Digital Innovation and Transformation. So we are all increasingly experiencing the role of digital technology in our day-to-day life, especially after pandemic. As Professor Sridhar mentioned, IMK is not new to digital technology. It has been using the digital platform for education for almost 2 decades now. India is one of the major contributors of digital talents to the world. We know that Indian companies are performing very well in the domain of digital or information technologies. And Government of India is also embracing digital technologies for the development and transformation of the nation, including the Digital India program. MeitY, the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, in their report mentioned that the potential for digital transformation is about $1 trillion value by 2025. So in this context, I really appreciate and congratulate the decision of IMK to start this center. I especially would like to thank our Honorable Director, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, and the Board of Governance to take it forward and initiate the center. Currently, there are several types of activities going on in this domain, in this particular institute. This is in the form of various programs offered, courses offered, interdisciplinary research, executive training, projects, and so on. One of the objectives of this center is to better coordinate these activities under one umbrella and promote interdisciplinary research. Because we know that nearly 80% of the digital transformation projects are failure, mainly because of the managerial aspect. That is where management institutions like IMK can make a contribution to this endeavor. Another objective of the center is to support IMK in its digital transformation journey, including ERP implementation, use of digital platforms, etc. Yet another objective is to support the community around us in adopting and using the technology for addressing social problems. Every year we get a lot of students with IT background, and we can channelize some of this expertise to support the community around us. And these are the main objectives of the center. And as we all know, one of the major concerns when we use this technology is some of the ethical and environmental issues, that is the responsible use of these technologies. Today people say digital is either to survive or to die. That means survival or death is going to be decided by digital. But I would say that in future, maybe responsible use of this technology is going to decide whether you are going to survive or die. And this is in line with our institute vision and the dictum of globalizing Indian thought. Because if you look at India, apart from contributing to many of these technology and talents, you can see there are notable Indian projects which have gone beyond a scale that can be imagined by other countries, in fact. Look at the case of IRCTC, Passport Seva, or core banking solutions that are being used in India and so on. So in this sense, this is another avenue to kind of showcase Indian thought. When I was just going through this word digital, in fact, it reveals that three important words are there. One is Gita, G-I-T-A. Another one is GIT, globalizing Indian thought. Another word is Dil. These are all essential part of globalizing Indian thought. We know that the role of technology for transforming the world is indisputable. But at the same time, transforming the world in a divine manner, that means when you combine values with the use of technology, that is going to be the real transformation for a sustainable world. And incidentally, it is noticed that today is also Gita Jayanti, okay? And probably it's a kind of auspicious day to start with. And with these few words, I conclude my introduction to the center. Thank you all from my heart and look forward to your cooperation and wholehearted support to make the center successful. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite our esteemed director, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, to virtually launch the website of the Center for Digital Innovation and Transformation.
Okay, I launch the center.
Thank you very much, sir. May I request you to address the gathering now?
Well, you just heard from the person who will helm the center something in reference to the Gita. I don't want to go there, but I can tell you that only in this country can the digital and the devotional come together in the same plane of reference. As I'm speaking to you, you can see in the backdrop a newly honed classroom that I happened to commission on behalf of the fraternity in IMK. This is called a Gurukul, and it has seating arrangement that is very unlike a Harvard classroom. We have grass and we have some trees, and we have a vertical garden, and we have transparent glasses from 4 sides so that people can see a class in operation. So we try and see that the fact that the world education space is getting increasingly digital. We are aware of that. And Professor Pillai heard this expression, digitize or die, because it was a book that somebody wrote from Silicon Valley. And this was in 2001. I was a Fulbright scholar at Harvard Kennedy School, and I happened to meet a bunch of people. He was one of them, and he was forcefully arguing in favor of digitizing or dying. Although it was a sort of a prophetic line, but my observation at that point of time was you humanize the digital or you die. Otherwise, you cannot survive. Because when digital becomes in scale and scope bigger than a human conception of it, we begin to create a Frankenstein that does not work for us, but works against us. And we have seen both the great advantages and the disadvantages of the digital world. We are looking at the center. In a way that we would also question how technology for development will often raise ethical and environmental concerns. We are going to be looking at the responsible use of digital technology for sustainable development in any forum that we are looking at. And see, if you look at our mission, globalizing Indian thought, we can't go global without the aid and help of digital technology. It is impossible, inconceivable that we can do without it. But the fact that our vision is something that has some very perennial values associated with it. The 3 elements of globalizing Indian thought, as far as I see it, are Satyam, Nityam, and Purnam. Satyam is authenticity, Nityam is sustainability, Purnam is wholeness or fulfillment, depending on how you look at it. How will the digital world enable us to achieve these 3 values? Digital is only a means. It cannot be an end in itself, no matter what people tell you. And how do you achieve these values, those human aspirations, without the corrupting influences? So digital has helped us in our search for authenticity. Today, if you're bluffing, lying, you'll be found out in nanoseconds by the click of a few buttons. Sustainability is possible because the digital world is throwing up scenarios that are quite scary for people who are invested in environment. We are seeing scenarios that are created that can tell us that the way we consume today is not sustainable in the long run. And we have to do something. We have to have those mid-course corrections very quickly. In terms of fulfillment, the digital world cannot fulfill, but it may extend our reach so that fulfillment can be defined not just as a personal wealth creation of a few individuals out there, but fulfillment for a larger cause, for a nation. And I still remember at the Harvard Business School, I was attending a course on authentic leadership, where I was asked to teach by Bill George. He was the convener of the program. And someone immediately after the first class, the then Dean of Harvard Business School, Nitin Noria, had to come and speak. And he talked about Mr. Narayan Murthy of Infosys as an iconic leader. I thought there will be general endorsement of that name from the rest of the participants, quite a few from India. But they said, no, it is not Narayan Murthy who's Infosys. There are several. Why are you singling out one individual? There's no getting away from that name. But the fact was that Infosys was a co-creation of the aspiration of many Indians, middle class, wanting to assume the world. I mean, we had these young people who took upon themselves to extend India's prowess in a way that the value of an Indian passport was very different before and after Infosys and the rest of the ecology that Infosys helped create. So I'm very grateful. I'm not going to, waste my time waxing eloquent about any individual organizations or even our own center. I'm going to hand over the baton to a person who's more legitimately qualified to talk about these. And Chris, over to you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir, for the enlightening speech. Padma Bhushan Chris Gopalakrishnan is a co-founder of Infosys, where he served as vice chairman from 2011 to 2014 and as CEO and managing director from 2007 to 2011. Currently, Chris Gopalakrishnan is the chairman of Accelo Ventures Private Limited, an accelerator that helps startups during the early stage of their business journey. In 2011, Government of India honored Chris with Padma Bhushan. Currently, he is the president of Board of Trustees, Infosys Science Foundation, and the chairperson of Reserve Bank of India Innovation Hub. May I now request Padma Bhushan Chris Gopalakrishnan to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you, Professor Debashish Chatterjee, Professor Sridhar Kuda, Professor Radhakrishna Pillai, LL Ramachandran, faculty, students, alumni, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for inviting me for this inauguration function, albeit virtual, but I'm happy that I'm able to participate in this. Hopefully, at a later date, when things are, let's say, more normal, I can personally visit and meet all of you. I love visiting educational institutions, meeting faculty and students, and so it'll be my pleasure to do that. I congratulate IIM Kozhikode for setting up this Digital Innovation and Transformation Center. And I hope that industry becomes an active participant in the activities of this center, because it is at the intersection of academic activity and industry activity that I believe innovation should happen. And of course, transformation of society, transformation of industry, transformation of education must happen with input from all sides. So I want to share 7 points with you today, my perspectives on this occasion. And I hope that will also maybe give you some pointers on how this center can look at its activities or prioritize its activities. So the first point is we are living through a period of heightened activities around innovation. And these are driven typically by waves of technology emerging. If you look at the 50s, it's the digital computer. Fast forward, and I won't go through every stage of how computers evolved, but fast forward to the mid-90s, internet was introduced and a wave of innovation happened. And today, I believe that we are at a new wave. Some people call it the fourth industrial revolution. It's a convergence of physical, digital, and biological technologies, all intertwined together to create new opportunities for innovation. And that wave is what we are living through. And every one of these waves have transformed society. I've lived through the digital computing revolution. I've lived through the internet revolution. And of course, I will now probably watch the fourth industrial revolution from the side as people take these initiatives forward. But the opportunity for this center is to create the agenda for business and society on how to use these technologies to transform. And we also assume that this transformation is to create a better world, to create a better business, to bring new products and services to society, improve quality of life, and benefit society. Even in the last 2 years during COVID, we have seen how, first of all, there has been an acceleration of adoption of digital by necessity, but it has enabled us to appreciate the role of science and technology in our lives. And of course, the role of technology means the role of digital technology, because our lives have become more digital than ever before. Even family dinners happen around Zoom and or let's say video conferencing tool, and people talk about video lunches, video dinners, etc. And family interaction also happens. Birthdays happen. Everything happens virtually today, and this meeting itself is a virtual meeting. It has significant benefits, and that's the reason why the future will be hybrid. We are not going to go back to where we were before the COVID struck. But what that world is going to be is something, again, this center should look at, because this center will decide on how businesses look like, industries look like, academic institutions look like, society looks like. The second point is, acceleration of economic growth by introduction of this. This is something that we in India very much require. Our aspiration is to become a $10 trillion economy over the next 20 years. Why did I pick the number 10 trillion? Because in 1993, about 25 years back, India was about $600 billion, and today India is $2.7 trillion. So it has grown more than 4 times in the last 25 years. So in the next 20 years, that is the early part of career of most of the students who are listening to this, you will see Indian economy go from 2.7 trillion to about $10 trillion. That should be our aspiration. That should be our goal. It's very much achievable because we have achieved 4 times growth in the last 25 years. This also means that our per capita income will go from about $2,000 to $10,000. India will become a middle income country where China is today. And this is a huge opportunity in many aspects, actually, to create that new India, and I'll come back to this, the new India, to change the lives of people. Last 25 years, we have gone from about maybe less than 50 million middle-class people to about 350 million middle-class people. That change has been dramatic, actually. And, we have lived through, many of the faculty probably have lived through this, or at least the older faculty have lived through this, from not having telephone to having multiple phones at home and hand, and telephone becoming a personal device, everything that we can do using a telephone. I won't bore you with all the changes that have happened in the 25 years. And similar changes will occur in our lives. And that is an exciting period to be in. I strongly believe that the next 20 to 30 years are going to be even more exciting than the last 20 to 30 years. And again, that has to be the agenda for this center. The third is acceleration of creation of new businesses. And this is part of these technology waves and how society changes. If you look at the US stock market or US financial markets, the top 5 companies, all of you know the names, actually: Microsoft, Apple, Facebook, Google, Amazon, are all young companies, less than 50 years old. That means I have lived through these companies being created and growing to what they are today. Amazon was created around 1995, 94, 95 when internet came, or internet became popular. Google was created around 97, 98. Facebook was created around 2004, 2005 timeframe. So very young companies actually, and they have already, some of them have reached $1 trillion of market cap, etc. And again, the leadership of society, especially industry, changes when these waves of technologies happen. And that's the reason why, and these are the companies that drive new models, these drive job creation, jobs of the future. These are the ones that create the products. These are the companies that actually allow us to have a quality of life that we deserve. If you think about the COVID virus striking us maybe 15 years back, our life would have been miserable. Think about how we would have connected, interacted, etc. And today, the technology of Zoom, etc., allows us to interact. I don't know, many of you realize or not, video conferencing was such a difficult task, such an expensive technology. And today, we can just do it using a phone, and that's how people interact. Everybody interacts with video conference on the phone. And these are all technologies that have come from young companies. And that's why we need new business creation. We need economic activity. We need ease of doing business. We need to have the creative destruction that is necessary for new business creation, which I think any vibrant, robust, dynamic society must have. And out with the old and in with the new, right? That should be our mantra as we progress. And that's one of the reasons why US is the most dynamic and the largest economy, starting with the 20th century. They became the largest in the 20th century only. So, and it was all driven on innovation and things like that. And this part of it, can India be the driver for the 21st century? And this will be driven by entrepreneurship, startups, etc. So the $10 trillion economy, India being the driver for the 21st century, what role US played in the 20th century, can India be the role? India can take on that role for the 21st century. So that's the third point, and this center must discuss and debate and set a roadmap for us to do that. The fourth point is the process of digital innovation and transformation in new enterprises, but more importantly, existing enterprises. Now, I just talked about out with the old and in with the new, but there are some companies that survive these technology transitions. So of all the companies who are part of the digital computer revolution, Microsoft and Apple kind of survived. Apple almost died in the mid-90s, actually, and Steve Jobs was brought back in, and he kind of reinvigorated the company, completely changed the product set, and created a new Apple around the phone, and in some sense drove that revolution, the mobile revolution, and that's the reason why Apple is a leader. So how do existing companies look at digital innovation and transformation? What is the process? Do they have goals defined? So for example, every company must measure how much of their revenue, current year's revenue, comes from product introduced in the last 1 year, last 3 years, last 5 years. Because that's a clear measure of the innovation that's happening in that company. And it must have that kind of goal. That must be part of the CEO's metrics, and the board must challenge the organization around these things. So what are the right matrices? What are the processes that are required? Are the people trained on the methodologies, the process for innovation, etc.? Is there sufficient funding available? And actually, the cost around the money that's required is actually coming down because of, again, emerging technologies like cloud, mobile, etc. People will tell you that the mobile phone that you have in your hand, which costs about 25,000 rupees or 30,000 rupees, is more powerful than a mainframe computer, which would have cost $2-3 million 25 years back, right? So cost of technology is coming down, and the need for funding, location, or need for office, every one of this is going away, and that levels the playing field again for a startup. So how do we incorporate all these things into our process for digital innovation and transformation would be the fourth point as an agenda for this center. The fifth point is again back to existing enterprises and how they work with startups. We today see these as two different worlds, existing enterprises and startups. To me, that's the wrong way to look at these things actually, and it is a way, kind of our mind is, mindset is today. And I would like to change this and say that as part of the innovation process, a company must look at how much of the innovation must be done within and how much should be brought in from outside. What is the metric that you need to use? For example, P&G said that 50% of the products will come from outside through our partners, through the network that we have. They have open innovation challenges in their website and things like that. And Cisco, another example where when cutting edge technologies are created in the laboratory, they spin out these companies and they make them startups. They allow them to attract risk funding or venture funding, and look at how they can bring them back in when the technology is proven, when there is enough momentum in the market and things like that. So working with startups, including startups in your innovation process, in your innovation journey, is very important. You need to think about strategic versus financial investment in startups. Strategic are those that are adjacent or new areas that you would want to get in, and you would like to acquire these entities and bring them back into the company. Financial investments are, like a venture fund that you create and get financial returns. Typically, the CFO drives that. The CEO drives the strategic investments. So the role startups should play in innovation journey of an existing enterprise. How do you create the processes? How do you integrate these startups into your business? All of these things must form part of the agenda of the center. This is a very important point. When Microsoft acquired LinkedIn, they actually gave the entire Office portfolio to the CEO of the LinkedIn product, because you are acquiring some business that is the future. So if you want that future to actually materialize, you need to give proper support, proper resources, funding, and leadership, the space for that leader to operate. And so they made the CEO of LinkedIn the head of Office portfolio products and things like that. So there are many, case studies, many examples, many processes that can be used to work with startups. Most companies actually integrate startups and kill them and lose all the advantage of bringing in a startup. But how do you effectively leverage the ecosystem? One other thing I want to actually highlight here is how do you learn from startups? Many things that you can learn. The speed at which they operate, the focus that they have. They have milestones which are monthly, whereas for an existing enterprise, the milestones are probably quarterly or maybe yearly or multi-year, 5-year plans and things like that. The startup has a daily sprint, weekly sprint, monthly sprint. The VCs will look at your performance on a monthly basis. You get funding only if you reach certain goals. So they're laser focused, single objective, the speed at which they operate. All of these things are, I think, lessons for existing enterprises. And how can you change the culture of an existing enterprise to work like a startup? So there are many things. And then the funding, right? Existing enterprises fund their innovation through internal accrual, so it hits your P&L immediately. When you work with startups, they work with venture funding, right? Risk funding. And the venture community and the ventures ecosystem is such that you know that maybe 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 startups will fail, and they write that off. It doesn't come into your balance sheet actually, or a P&L. And how do you compete with somebody like that actually, who's willing to write off all your expenses? Whereas if you're an existing enterprise, it hits your P&L immediately, it hits your stock price immediately, and you're questioned by the board if the innovation fails. So you have actually no space to fail, and you work with incremental innovation rather than disruptive innovation, because you can't take that risk. So there are many reasons why an existing enterprise should work with startups, must learn to work with startups, and make that part of the innovation process. So that's the fifth point I would like to have the center look into. The sixth one is about ethics, and I think several of you mentioned this. And technology always comes with upside and downside. Technology can be a tool for good or a tool for evil also, and we have seen this. And what happens is, when the technology is introduced, you don't fully appreciate its goods and bad sides actually, because you always think it is going to benefit, and how do I make that indeed happen? The other reason is governments don't understand these innovations and technologies. They take time to change the regulations after understanding the goods and the bads, and the benefits and the ills of these technologies, etc. So the regulations follow innovation. So all of these reasons, for all of these reasons, it's incumbent on the technologists, it's incumbent on the management, it's incumbent on the leadership to do the right thing when these technologies and innovations are introduced into society. And ethics has to be part of the processes for innovation. There has to be representatives from different parts of society, or people who bring in the voices of the different parts of the society, understand the implications of use of this technology. And we are also moving into a world where a lot of the decision making will be given to technology solutions. When you talk about AI, machine learning, deciding recruitment, deciding who is to be fired, deciding many things that affect people's lives, etc. Who gets insurance and who does not get insurance. All of these things are going to be decided by machines in the future. So ethics will play a very, very important role in the future. And one last aspect is, we can design life in labs today, right? We can design life in labs, and ethics around that will also be very, very important. So that's the sixth point I would like to bring, because this society must center innovation around an ethical framework, an ethical template and a model, and also must inculcate in every leader this aspect of being good stewards of progress and things like that. And last, and I believe this is also touched upon by several of you in your brief talk, which is the India development model. And I put it very differently. And I go back to the 20th century and the 21st century. See, the 20th century development model was built on consumption-led development goals. And what has that led us to? A world that's polluted, the world that's unequal, the world that's unequal, the world that has created so much divisions within society. There is no center today. There is either extreme left or extreme right, and societies are kind of fragmenting today, and that's the 20th century, because it's built on materialism, it's built on exclusion, it's built on consumption with greedy consumption, right? As if the world is going to end tomorrow, right? If you require 4 shirts, you buy 40 shirts, because that's what the advertisement guys will tell you to buy, right? Buy, right? Whether you need it or not, just go and buy. There's a sale every other day prompting you to buy. And the whole 20th century model is actually a flawed model, I believe, because it has led the world almost to the edge of disaster. Almost to the edge of disaster. Sustainability, climate change, all of these things you're seeing actually, and it's affecting everybody. It's nobody is excluded. The developed countries are as much affected as the developing countries. Just 2 days back, about I think 100 people or around that number died in the US because of the tornadoes. Right? We are going to see such activities more and more, and the devastating effect of climate, the devastating effects of split in societies, the devastating effect of disparity in incomes, the top 1% versus the rest of the 99%, products that are introduced which again don't address the 7 billion people, addresses the 1 billion people, the top 10% of the world. Look at the vaccine itself, right? The vaccines that came from the developed countries can only be used in developed countries because they're not affordable, they're not transportable, they need cold storage, which is not available in most of the parts of the world, because they think about their requirements and their needs. When India develops a model, India must think about the rest of the world. We should think about the 7 billion people. Now that's an opportunity because India is still a developing country. We are a our per capita income is $2,000. I said at the beginning that we need to go to 10,000, right? We are going to develop in the next 20, 30 years. So what model will we use for development? Will this be a model that is inclusive, that's equitable, that's affordable? Vaccine itself, right? If India produces vaccine, it's available for $3 or maybe even less actually if it produces in large quantities, right? So clearly there is a position, there is a role that India can play. There is a role that youth can play. There's a role that such centers can play, because you have to come out with the model for development using these technologies, using this innovation to create a world that is fairer, that's equitable, that's sustainable, that's inclusive. And that is the biggest opportunity I see for all of you in creating this 21st century world. And this, I believe, only India can play. And I repeat that, this only India can play, because we understand these challenges. And that's what I would like this center to drive and use that as the motivation for this center. So thank you all for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. I know you can see that I'm passionate about this subject, and thank you very much, and congratulations again to all of you, and I wish the center all the success. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening speech and for gracing us with your presence today. May I now kindly request Sri L.L. Ramachandran to propose a vote of thanks.
A very warm good morning to Chief Guest, Director, Deans, faculty, staff, students, and other invitees. The inauguration of the center today is a great occasion to cherish, especially during the celebration of 25th anniversary of our institute. Our humble beginning today may bring laurels in the future. First of all, let me thank Padma Bhushan Sri Chris Gopalakrishnan ji for spending his valuable time to address us Sir, you have really enlightened us with your thoughts, motivation, speech, and has given us a roadmap for our journey of the center. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, our director has always been a support to all the innovative and creative initiatives in the institute. Because of this, a creative and innovation culture has gone into the DNA of our institute. Sir, we are grateful to you for the unstinting support and guidance provided to us in establishing this center and also for launching the website. Thank you so much, sir. We would also take this occasion to express our gratitude to deans of the institute, Professor Anandakuttan Viyamithan, Professor G. Sridhar, who is also our head of the center, and Professor Debashish Dey, sir, for their support and guidance. Thank you, sirs. My expression of gratitude would be incomplete without thanking Professor Radhakrishna Pillai, sir, who is the chairperson, who is the head of the center. We also express our sincere thanks to all the faculty, staff, students, and other invitees for their esteemed participation in the function. Many thanks also to the officers, staff in Director's Office, Computer Center, General Administration, and all sections for helping us to make this function a grand success. Thank you all, sir.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all. We will be winding up the session with the national anthem. Please rise for the national anthem.
जन गण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे